Hey guys, welcome back to another Ignite Minds podcast. My name is Pragna.
My name is Sanvi.
My name is Sanvi.
And my name is Katie.
And today we'll be talking about our opinions on different school policies, starting with Katie.
Okay, so my first question is that there has been a rising ban on phones at schools in California. Do you think that this school policy is appropriate?
I think that this school policy is appropriate because um, in my school we have a policy where we can use our phone before and after school, and I don't really see a reason why we should be using it anytime during school, as our parents could contact the office if they need to speak to us.
Well, I think what I meant was like, in some of the middle schools that I went to, it was like you couldn't even take out your phones during break and like during recess or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like no, at my school they do that too because there have been cases where students are taking their phones into the bathroom and taking pictures of students there, and I think that this is the best way to prevent that.
Yeah, I think like schools, phones are sometimes like useful if you need like a calculator to search something up, but if it's not, like if it's during when a teacher is talking, I don't think phones are really like needed.
I feel like you also have your computer for and calculator separate, so there's really no need for a phone.
Yeah, I think that schools have a responsibility over the students, and if they do something that's not allowed with their phones in school, the school takes responsibility for it. But I feel like after school, they could do whatever they want with their phones. So I think it's like the school's choice and the school's call.
I also don't think students should be like punished for if some people are abusing their phones. So maybe it should be like an individual like basis.
Yeah. Okay, so my second question is that should there be a stricter policy on bullying, and the example is racism?
I feel like there should be a stricter policy on bullying, as the assemblies we have currently, at least in my school, the only thing we're really doing is assemblies to really help promote this topic. So I would really like to see some variety in ways to prevent this situation.
Yeah, for sure. And especially like regarding racism, I think nowadays it's taken as like a joke and some people just joke about it, and that definitely shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I agree with Pragna that racism's a joke nowadays, and that schools should be taking it more seriously and provide greater consequences for students that are being racist.
And I feel like it's the school's responsibility to find a way to make their students understand that racism is no joke and it is really harmful to someone's mental health.
Yeah, a long-term like
impact.
Like trauma.
Yeah. Okay. So my third question is, how should school policies be implemented or promoted? Examples are have students take a test to remember school policies, teachers give a lecture, etc., or maybe none at all.
I feel like that teachers could always go over these policies right before a test, because even though there should be known policies by now, like no cheating on a test, if a student's like, oh, I didn't know I could not do this, the teacher can always refer back to the discussion they had prior to the test. And during lectures or anything, I feel like it should be a known rule of like proper etiquette to not be speaking when the teacher's talking, and there could be like small posters and such.
Yeah, I think like people should be like really well informed on their school policies, and it'll definitely like prevent anything from happening.
Like prevent loopholes, right?
Yeah. So yeah, maybe like posters, like Sanvi was saying. So people have like daily reminders.
Yeah, I think that the school should provide daily reminders of their school policies, whether it's through like a video once a week or morning announcements, something that can really get it ingrained in their head. And I also feel like if a student's in a school for a longer period of time, they'll just know the school policies, and it'll be easier to remember.
One thing I really hope for is for students to not need all these reminders, and I feel like it just is just proper etiquette, and etiquette something where you have like anywhere you go. So etiquette in school is going to be implied when in the workforce later on too.
Yes, like by our age, people should just know what to do.
Okay, so my last question is when students follow school policies or do the correct thing, are they driven by rewards, prevention of punishment, or just moral beliefs? And how would this shape the implementation of school policies?
So I don't think like students should be rewarded for doing something that they're just expected to do. Maybe driving on like the punishments if they're not doing what they're expected to do, but I definitely don't think a reward is needed.
Though I do think that maybe like younger students could have a reward for their actions, because at that point in age, I feel like it's just a bit of a better way to get them more into being more kinder, nicer, and um like it should be like basic things to know.
Hmm. I think for certain students that are performing above and beyond, they should be awarded sometimes with um, rewards. But I feel like for students that are performing pretty average, they can just know that they're doing pretty good. But I think for students that are below average, they should be getting like some sort of punishment, like studying harder, summer school, something like that.
Yeah, as school is meant to prepare us for the future, and if school is giving us these false values of things we are not promised in the future, then it's not doing its job.
Yeah, like you won't get a reward for doing like what you're
Like
expected
not
to do.
for like picking up if you don't pick up trash.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
in the workforce, right? Yeah. So that's all for my questions.
Okay, then I'll start. So my first question is how could tracking absence impact students' outcome, and what challenges do schools face in addressing attendance issues?
So I think like especially tardies like in between classes like during the school day, they should be tracked more like looking for patterns because I think like a lot of people like skip out on classes, but also there's like some people who take it way too literally and like they mark people tardy for coming to class like 1 or 2 minutes late, and that's kind of like a lot knowing like some campuses are really big. Like I know my campus is pretty big.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the situation, like how you were talking about, if there's like a trend or like a pattern happening. But if it's just like 1 or 2 times per year, then I don't think it should be impact like your record or something.
Yeah, also tardies play like a big role in like some type of college application stuff, and sometimes tardies can like show who you are and like what type of person you are. But normally, like if you're like 1 or 2 minutes late, I don't think you should get a tardy. But like it also depends on the school campus, and if you have a big campus, it's like I think the passing period should be like a long amount of time.
I feel like depending on the campus, this should be varied, and though like as the days go by, 1 or 2 minutes can add up. But I know that some teachers they are very strict with their bathroom policy, and they give like students like 2 or 3 times per semester to go to the bathroom. And I feel like that'll make students want to go to the bathroom during passing period. But if they're not given enough time to do that, it's just worse for the students. So. So, my second question is are the tests that are given to students properly showing their creativity and capability? How are students affected by unreliable tests?
So I think some tests like some people have like hard times taking tests or test anxiety. I think like a test taken like for 1 hour doesn't really show what a student knows overall. So maybe like different types of tests or long-term tests to really show like what a student knows.
Yeah, I think the tests should be like directly correlated with like the homework because I know some teachers will give really easy homework and then just make the test like ridiculously hard. So I think it should be like pretty similar to the homework. Yeah.
I think that it depends, and that, as Pragna said, that we should get like more options for tests, like projects or like an essay. And there so should be good like study resources, like study guides or like notes, so that they can perform better on a test. And also, students with test anxiety should be provided with more resources and more like ways to take a test.
And I feel like projects are like an amazing way to show creativity because some students they're able to show better understanding when they're able to express their creativity. And this would really show their mental capabilities. My third question are what are the pros and cons of implementing stricter nutrition standards in school meals? How can schools balance nutrition offering with student taste preferences? Do these updates make a significant difference in children's long-term health?
So I think everyone has their school lunchtime horror stories. Um, and I think a lot of schools are trying to make their food more like nutritious and healthy. And I think like they should just remember to make it like taste good along with being healthy and like aligning with a good diet.
Hmm. I think that school lunches should definitely be more flexible for people, especially with like for religious reasons, like certain people can't eat certain type of meats and stuff, and also they're like, most school lunches are really oily and unhealthy. So I think they should be like various different food options for students, and I think also that we should encourage students to bring home lunch as well.
Yeah. So personally, I think California, or at least our district, school lunches are pretty good and like respectively compared to like the other districts. It might not be the healthiest, but I guess at least it tastes good.
I think that the school lunches, though they sometimes cannot really be the best thing, I really feel like pizza every day is not what's beneficial for a student. As when I go to the cafeteria, the main options are something with oil or like something really fat based, which is not really good for a growing student.
I also want to add that most of the time in my school, our lunches, like we normally run out of lunches, so many students aren't able to get their school lunches since we have so many students. So I think there should definitely be like backup options for in case they run out of school lunch.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, how like school lunch lines are literally like miles long. So,
Yeah.
and then people run out of options, and like how you were saying earlier, people with like restrictions on what they can eat, if they run out, then it's a big problem. So,
Yeah. I want to add that there's like a share box for some reason. I don't know if you guys like have heard of it, but it's just basically when like students can like students are required to take like a pack of vegetables, but then they can just put it into the share box after. So I don't really get what the point of that is.
Yeah.
If you're trying to implement these, why are this like I guess it's a good there's a share box at least like it's not going all to the trash and
Yeah, I
they can
guess.
use it, but it's not really doing much. It's just the fruits and vegetables that we take are just gonna end up back in the share box. I feel like it's just a waste of material and money that could be spent for way more other things.
Yeah.
definitely. All right, so moving on. What are your views on the new embedded honors classes in high school? Considering the system, do you think it will influence the efforts middle school students invest in their studies?
I think it'll definitely affect middle schoolers because there are many middle schoolers that will try hard to get into honors classes, but then there'll be other middle schools that want to take the easy route and just not try hard in eighth grade and just like wing it, and then in ninth grade they're actually gonna try and get into these honors classes. But I think it's useless because if there are some students with gifted talent, I think they should be put into a gifted class where they can learn what they need to learn instead of what they already know. And students who need a little more time need to take their time and learn what they need to.
Yeah, I think embedded honors classes just hurt people on both accounts. Like you were saying, people who need more time, the embedded honors classes would just like go a little bit faster for those who need that. And it would just like hurt both people who are advanced and people who are not.
I feel like advanced students like what I said, I feel like that they should be given the since they're already advanced, they should be given the opportunity to go at the pace they've been doing so well at. And um though people may argue that other students can benefit from the discussions that the honors like the embedded students are having, but how is that beneficial to the honor students when they're stuck trying to explain topics when they can help themselves and other honor students building off their ideas.
Yeah, definitely. Like the teachers should focus on their jobs instead of giving it to honors people.
Yeah, I think the embedded honors, like, it prevents people from trying in middle school. And, like, I've heard a lot of people, like, from personal experience say, like, oh, I don't have to try in 8th grade because I'll just try in 9th grade. And I think that's, like, a really bad mindset to have because it's supposed to be, like, a pathway. And, like, you're supposed to build your learning habits from, like, a young age.
And yeah,
Prepare you.
Yeah,
and
prepare you for high
students
school.
are not supposed to be relying on the honor students to help them with their like homework and everything.
Yeah, I also think it's like elementary school again because in elementary school it's like the teachers just teach all students like one like lesson plan. And so I feel like there's no point in like like having different classes and different periods if it's just like teaching the same thing.
I feel like in the workforce too, if one is more like accomplished, they get to go further.
Yeah. Okay. Um, what is your perspective on retake policies in educational institutions? Do you believe the number of retakes, such as unlimited versus a single retake per semester or trimester, affects students' learning outcomes positively or negatively? Additionally, how might retake policies impact students' mental health?
I think that there should be only one retake that needed for each student so that they can improve on their test score. But I feel like for some students, retakes should not be unlimited or required because they don't put in the effort the first time, so they just rely on the retakes because sometimes retakes tend to be easier than the actual test. So they just offer for that route, and I think that teachers should see what type of student it is before giving them the opportunity to do a retake.
Yeah, I think like because in our middle school there was unlimited retakes, and the retakes you could get like a perfect score if you score good on the retake. And I just think it doesn't like prepare you for high school because in many classes in high school it's like only one retake per semester, and the highest grade you can get is like an 80%. So I think middle school should implement like the school policies from high school and use it in like their retake policies because that's what's gonna like help students prepare for the future.
I think. Sorry, do we go?
Okay. While I agree that many students might like abuse the retake like access, I think some students, like we were talking about earlier, who have like test anxiety or are not good test takers, might benefit from the retakes by having more opportunities to actually show what they know instead of just like one opportunity to show what they know and that's it.
I think that retakes should vary based on the test itself, as quizzes, they should be more like, they shouldn't have retakes considering it's like for a shorter time period and you're able to like, it's like only a small amount of information for a small test. But let's say we go to a unit test, you could just like accidentally mess something up, like again, test anxiety. So I feel like that should be something, and students should present their work that they have an understanding of this topic before they just go back into the test and there's not a better outcome that is guaranteed.
Right. Homework loads differ significantly among schools. Do you believe the volume of homework influences students' comprehension of subjects? With the increasing adoption of no homework policies, what are your thoughts on this approach?
Uh, I think for our middle school there was like no homework at all, and in other middle schools that route to the same high school that we go to now, they had a lot of homework, and a lot of parents have been saying people from other middle schools like had better preparation for high school because since high school had so much like a big workload and a big burden, um, people from middle schools that have a lot of homework like have better preparation for high school. So I think homework is like a great preparation tool for high school.
Yeah, definitely. And I also like know when I'm studying and stuff, it homework like really helps me because I use like my past homework assignments to study for tests. So it just overall helps a student learn better, I think, and comprehend the subjects more.
I also think homework is a, like as Pragna said, a great studying tool, as teachers are grading this thing, so you know if your answers are correct or wrong, and you can make changes varying based on those answers. And they're for students that typically like do not study or like may not really find time to study, like find time, but with homework they will definitely find time to do their homework because it's a grade, so it's indirectly preparing them for the test.
Yeah. I think the amount of homework definitely matters because if it's for students who have like a lot of extracurricular activities, they won't have time to do their homework. So I think it should be not too much, but a little bit doable amount of homework that you could do in like one sitting. I also think homework's a great way to study for tests, and it's a great way for students to understand a student's proficiency level in a certain subject and if they need more help.
Yeah, definitely. I was about to say that, like, as much as we're promoting homework right now, I think too much homework is just hurting a student rather than helping them.
One more thing I'd like to add is that, like Sai said, like some students have extra activities, and I feel like there should be like a basic homework that is graded, and for some students that need more practice, they should be able to have more practice, as in like more practice sheets that their teacher can provide them.
It's like optional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My first question is, um, do dress codes need to be remodelized and more modern? Do you think it's equal to all genders?
Well, I know my school, like my current school and my middle school, they weren't that strict on dress codes as like you see in the olden days or like in movies or anything. But I definitely think schools that have dress codes should be modernizing them to a point where people are like equal under the dress code.
I do feel like it can be a bit like gender based too, as there was a situation where my friend, she was wearing this white top and she was dress coded. They said that it was too light and it was showing, but as we were talking about it, there was this other guy, he also had a white top which fit the description why she got dress coded. So I feel like it's really not being addressed fair for all students.
For sure.
Yeah, in my school, I have I go to an older school, so they use the dress code a lot more strictly. Like if your hands are longer than your shorts, then like you get dress coded. So I think older schools definitely need to be more modern about it and be a little more flexible.
I don't think I have anything to add.
Okay, many schools are now adapting to the 4-point or 5-point grading curve. Do you think this effectively shows a student's progress in a certain subject?
I think the 100-point scale is like a lot easier to get like a better grade. It's easier to get like a 98 or a 97%. Rather, if you have like a 4-point scale, if you get one question wrong, at least in my experience, it automatically drops you down to a 3, which will be equivalent to like a 80% or a 70%. So it's like a lot harder to get like a good grade on a test.
Yeah, and then like going along with what Katie said, like I think it also like gives teachers more to like grade in. You know more about why you got that score if it's like more options on the grading instead of just 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah.
Yeah, I also feel like it really depends on the teacher because at least in my class, though for Katie it was like if you get one question wrong it's a 3, but in my at least in my ELA class and my history class, if you get one question wrong you're still given like that like flexibility to still have a 4. And I feel like that's really helpful because sometimes like even if you get one wrong kind of hides the fact that you got one wrong and it just shows up as like a good grade.
Yeah, I also agree that it depends on the teacher because for me, my English and history teacher also, if you like miss 1 or 2 questions, you still get a 4. But for my math teacher, if you miss one question, it's just a 3. So I think it definitely depends on the teacher.
I also feel like the 4.0 scale is interpreted in different ways also among the teachers because in some of my classes a 4 is interpreted as above and beyond, and in some other classes it's as meeting the standard. So I feel like there should be a common ground for what exactly this 4.0 scale means.
In order to increase students' grades, many students use extra credit to boost their grade. What's your opinion on extra credit?
I think it's a good thing to have because sometimes students may need like an extra boost for their grade, and there's also some students that really go above and beyond for what they're passionate about, and I feel like they should be rewarded for that as it keeps driving their like it fuels them because in the future if you have a passion for something you'll get paid extra for it. So
Honestly, I don't think extra credit is like a good thing because it only like differentiates the top students and the bottom students even more. Because only in my experience, the top students of the class use the extra credit to boost their grade even higher, and the lower, I guess, bottom grade students don't use this as much unless they need to. So it just differentiates like the students even more, I guess.
I find it interesting what Katie said because earlier we were talking about the embedded honors classes, and we're saying if they're going to differentiate like the students' levels with just things like extra credit or anything like that, then they could just put us in separate classes.
but I feel like extra credit's also just like a small thing here and there because like I haven't really had extra credit so far since I'm in middle school, and I've had like extra credit for an elective, and all I had to do was help volunteer for like a stall for a fall festival. So
Well, yeah, even in high school, actually, I haven't had any experience with extra credit so far where teachers are offering that. So I don't know. Some teachers may, some teachers might not. So even for if it's like for same subjects and some teachers do and don't, that could be like unfair treatment for some people to have that opportunity. Just making sure it's all equal is probably something to consider.
I personally think that like students who are above and beyond should not be like given extra credit because they're already showing that they know the topic really well. But I feel like for students who are kind of like failing or on the verge of failing, they should be like offered extra credit because they need it to like pass the grade. And
or like
yeah.
let's say I have like a 3.49. Like my friend, I remember this first trimester, she had like a 3.49, and she was asking her the teacher if she could like please round up one test, but she was like, no, 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 you can't do that. It's what the Aries shows.
All right, guys. I think that was a great discussion. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to watch more Ignited Minds podcasts in the future and subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Bye.
Bye.